Hey everyone, welcome back to Delphi Weekly. It's April 8th, 2026, and I'm your host. We've got a packed show today. 15 stories from across the Delphi community covering everything from runtime IDE hacking to AI-generated podcasts to, yes, a love letter to terrible commit messages. So grab your coffee and let's dive right in. Let's start with something really cool from Dummzeug. That's Thomas Mueller, for those who know him by name. He's updated his Delphi IDE Explorer tool, and the big news is it now supports runtime property editing. So if you're not familiar, the IDE Explorer lets you browse all the VCL and FMX components, forms, data modules, properties, and class hierarchies inside the running Delphi IDE itself. Up until now, it was strictly read-only. You could look, but you couldn't touch. Well, now you can touch. This is incredibly useful for debugging IDE customizations, testing expert plugins, or just understanding how the IDE works under the hood. Really impressive work, and honestly, the kind of power user tool that makes Delphi's open component architecture shine. And while we're on Dummzeug, he also released dzBdsLauncher version 1.0.19. This one's a bug fix. Turns out when you tried to open a .dpk package file, it was incorrectly looking for a .dpr file that didn't exist. Simple fix, but if you manage multiple Delphi versions and rely on dzBdsLauncher to open the right IDE for the right project, definitely grab the update. It's the kind of small quality of life tool that you don't appreciate until it breaks. Now here's a fascinating one. Kimbo Madsen has released MIMERCode version 1.0.0, which he describes as an AI-friendly programming language. The premise is really interesting. What happens when you design a language from scratch, knowing that roughly half the code written in it will be generated by AI? It's a thought-provoking question. Even if you never write a line of MIMERCode yourself, the design philosophy behind it is worth studying, because these ideas about AI-readable syntax and structure are going to influence how we think about all programming languages going forward, including Object Pascal. Speaking of AI and coding, Holger over at Holger's Code wrote up a fantastic piece called Spec Coding with Delphi, where he built a native game-save backup tool in a single afternoon using Claude code. And he's very clear, this is not an April Fool's joke, despite the publication date. What I love about this article is it's a practical, real-world example of how AI-assisted development works with Delphi right now. Not theory, not hype. He sat down, wrote specs, let the AI generate code, and shipped something useful. If you've been curious about integrating AI into your Delphi workflow, this is a great starting point. And Holger had a second piece this week too, a really fun read called Fixed Stuff. A love letter to the worst commit messages in history. We've all been guilty of this, right? Fixed stuff. Updated code. It works now. Holger's argument is that with AI tools readily available to help compose meaningful commit messages, there's really no excuse anymore. It's a light-hearted piece, but the underlying point is solid. Good commit messages are documentation, and they matter. Alright, let's talk about some big ecosystem news. TMS Software announced that TMS Smart Setup version 3.1 now brings Delphi 13.1 ARM64 EC support to their products. This is significant on two fronts. First, it means TMS is fully on board with ARM64 EC, which is crucial as we see more Windows on ARM devices hitting the market. And second, the Smart Setup tool itself continues to reduce friction around installation, updates, and dependency management. If you're running TMS components across a team, this is a meaningful upgrade. From Embarcadero's Get It portal, we've got two items. First, there's a new VCL style called Windows Modern Dark SE, which gives you a Windows 11 dark mode look for your VCL applications. Dark mode is basically table stakes at this point, users expect it, so having a polished, officially available style is really welcome. And second, there's a Boost Libraries package for Win64. Now this is specifically for C++ builder developers, but it's worth mentioning because the Boost libraries are a massive part of the C++ ecosystem, and having them readily available through Get It makes cross-language projects that much easier. Antonio Zapata wrote a great technical article on the Embarcadero blog about server-sent events, or SSE, and how to implement real-time updates in your Delphi apps. If you've ever built a dashboard or monitoring screen, you know the pain. You want live data without hammering the server with polling requests. SSE gives you that one-way real-time stream from server to client, and it's simpler than full WebSockets for many use cases. Antonio walks through the practical implementation, and it's definitely worth a read if real-time data is anywhere on your roadmap. From the French-speaking Delphi community, Patrick Prémartin, Les trucs et astuces d'un développeur Pascal, shared a post about spending his Easter weekend recoding a video game in Delphi. I love seeing game development in Delphi. It's a reminder that this language isn't just for business apps. It's capable of real-time graphics, game loops, and all the fun stuff too. Even if you don't read French, the code speaks for itself. Michael Riley wrote a thoughtful, more personal piece called Everyone Needs a Miyagi, reflecting on mentorship in the developer community. He draws on the Karate Kid metaphor. A Miyagi isn't just a teacher, but someone who shapes you fundamentally. In a community like ours, where so much knowledge is passed down through blog posts, forums, and one-on-one help, this really resonates. If you have a mentor, thank them. If you don't, go find one. And if you're experienced, consider being one. And finally, I have to talk about this. Over at LearnDelphi.tv, there's been a flurry of activity around creating an AI-generated Delphi news podcast. There are actually 4 related posts: Episode 1, Episode 2, a short explaining the process, and a progress update. The setup is clever. A Python script fetches news from DelphiFeeds.com, sends it to the Claude API to generate a script, converts that to audio via Mistral, and then assembles a video. It's a really cool automation project, and honestly, there's a certain meta charm to me, a podcast host, covering a story about someone automating podcast hosting. Should I be worried? Maybe a little. But seriously, it's a great demonstration of what you can build by chaining AI services together, and the fact that it's built around Delphi community content makes it even better. Alright folks, that's our show for this week. 15 stories, and honestly, every single one of them worth your time. I'll have all the links in the show notes, so please check those out, click through to the original articles, and show these authors some love. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with a fellow Delphi developer. Until next week, keep coding, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next Delphi Weekly. Take care.